Once upon a time, in a busy town by the riverside, there lived a wealthy merchant named Ashok. He was known throughout the town for his immense fortune, which he had accumulated through years of hard work and clever business deals. Ashok's shops were overflowing with the finest goods, silks that sparkled like water, spices that filled the air with exotic scents, and jewels that sparkled brighter than the stars. People from far and wide would come to buy from him, and his name was synonymous with luxury and success. However, despite his vast wealth, Ashok was driven by selfish desires. He was respected for his success but was not loved by the townspeople. Ashok cared only for his money and business. He was so focused on accumulating wealth that he had little time for kindness or friendship. His heart was closed to the struggles of others, and he never cared for the poor or helped those in need. For Ashok, life was a competition, and everyone else was either a customer or a rival. Even with all his riches, Ashok was never satisfied. He often envied those who seemed more at peace with far less than he possessed. He was always striving for more and more profits, more properties, more recognition. But the more he acquired, the more anxious and restless he became. His nights were sleepless, filled with worries about his wealth and the fear of losing it. One year, the town was struck by a terrible disaster. The river, swollen by heavy rains, flooded its banks and swept through the town with a force that none had seen before. Homes were destroyed, shops were ruined, and many livelihoods were lost. Ashok's properties were severely damaged, and he lost everything he had worked so hard to acquire. For the first time in his life, Ashok found himself not just financially broken but also emotionally shattered. He lost his mental strength and was consumed by thoughts of despair, anger, and frustration. As the floodwaters retreated, the entire town, including Ashok, was left in ruins. The once busy marketplace was now a desolate wasteland. With no home to return to, Ashok, along with the other villagers, was forced to move into a relief camp that had been set up for those who had lost everything. It was a humbling experience for Ashok, who had always prided himself on his wealth and status. Now, he was just like everyone else, helpless and struggling to survive. In the relief camp, Ashok encountered an old friend from his childhood, named Vishnu. Vishnu had become a journalist and had returned to the town to cover the aftermath of the flood. Unlike Ashok, Vishnu had always been compassionate and selfless, dedicating his life to serving others and spreading awareness through his work. Seeing Ashok's distress, Vishnu sat down with him and listened as Ashok poured out his sorrows. Ashok spoke of his losses, his fears, and his anger at the world. When he finished, Vishnu looked at him with kindness and said, "My dear friend, you have worked hard and achieved much, but have you ever truly been at peace? You are like a bird trapped in a golden cage, weighed down by your own desires and fears. Let me share with you a verse from the Bhagavad Gita that may help you find the peace you seek." Vishnu recited the verse. "He who is not envious but is a kind friend to all living entities, who does not think himself a proprietor and is free from false ego, who is equal in both happiness and distress, who is tolerant, always satisfied, self-controlled, and engaged in devotional service with determination, his mind and intelligence fixed on me, such a devotee of mine is very dear to me." Ashok listened intently as Vishnu explained the meaning of the verse. This verse describes the qualities of a devoted soul who is dear to the divine. Such a person is kind, humble, selfless, and maintains calmness in both happiness and distress. They are free from false ego, tolerant, and self-controlled, with unwavering devotion to the divine. He spoke of the importance of letting go of envy, ego, and attachment to material things. He emphasized the need for kindness, humility, and tolerance, and how true contentment comes from within, not from external possessions. Vishnu's words were like a soothing balm to Ashok's troubled heart. Vishnu explained that while it is important to create wealth, it is also our duty to serve those in need. True peace and happiness come not from material possessions but from living a life of kindness, humility, and selflessness. These words struck a deep chord in Ashok's heart. He realized that his endless pursuit of wealth had only brought him misery. He had been selfish and envious, seeing others as obstacles rather than as fellow human beings. He had believed himself to be the owner of his wealth, not understanding that everything in life is temporary and that true ownership lies in the hands of the divine. As Ashok embraced these teachings, he found that his mind became calmer and his heart lighter. He no longer worried about his losses or feared the future. Instead, he focused on living each day with humility, self-control, and devotion to the greater good. Slowly, his life began to rebuild itself, but this time, his wealth did not dominate his life. He had learned to be content with what he had and to face both success and failure with calmness. Ashok's transformation did not go unnoticed. The townspeople began to see him in a new light, not just as a wealthy merchant, but as a kind and wise man who cared for others. His life became an example of how true happiness comes not from what we possess, but from how we live. So, my friends, the moral of the story is that while it is important to work hard and build wealth, it is equally important to remain humble, kind, and compassionate. The verse from the Bhagavad Gita teaches us that true peace and happiness come not from material possessions but from the way we live our lives. By letting go of envy, pride, and attachment, and by embracing kindness and humility, we align ourselves with the divine and find lasting fulfillment.